We previously discussed the rectangular layer tool and its 4 icons. We will now take a closer look at the layers icon within the layer tool and some of its additional features. We will then review the standard tools bar and how to edit and create a viewer for elevated users. If you recall, the layers icon is the second icon within the rectangle layer tool, located in the upper right corner of the viewer. Notice there are 4 additional buttons across the top of the Layers tab. Let's take a closer look at the Clear, Filter, Add, and Reorder buttons. The Clear button will clear any layers, information, or data on the map, restoring the SimSuite viewer to the base map. The Filter button allows the user to select an area of interest and apply a spatial filter to all layers that are currently applied to the map. For example, the user could filter data to a specific region, then further down to a specific county. The Add button allows the user to add data to the map. Several formats are acceptable, including delimited CSV, shapefile, ArcGIS service, WMS service, or a KML. To add a shapefile, all files must be in a .zip file and projected to WGS 1984 Web Mercator. Data that is added to the map will remain in the viewer until the viewer is closed or the user returns to the SimSuite homepage. The Reorder button allows the user to rearrange layers in any order. In the ArcGIS platform that SimSuite is built on, the appearance of data layers will depend on the order in which they are drawn. Changing the order allows certain layers to display on top of others. For example, a flood zone may be displayed in one dark color, while the land use type is shown in an opaque color. You may need to reorder these layers to see both at once. Layers with more transparency and point layers should be arranged from top down. Let's move on to the standard tools, which are located on the top gray navigation bar. Select the Standard Tools tab to see the applicable buttons. On the far left are the Home, Forward, and Backward View buttons. The Home button will take the user back to the original home view of the existing SimSuite viewer by zooming out and resetting the Layers toolbar on the right side of the viewer. Right next to the Home icon there are 2 arrows, forward and backward. These icons allow the user to move between previous and successive views. The next set of buttons on the Standard Tools bar are the Zoom and Pan buttons. The Zoom button, which looks like a magnifying glass with a plus and minus sign, can be used to move closer or farther away in the viewing pane, while the Pan button allows you to pan or slide side to side on the viewer. This is accomplished by holding the left mouse button down and moving the cursor to the point of interest. This standard tool allows you to move to the area of focus on the map. The next icon is a Draw icon. When a user clicks on the Draw icon, a small menu box will appear on screen with several menu items, including an eraser, a floppy disk save icon, and a folder icon used to open files from your computer or network. On the first box on the left side of the Draw menu, there is a drop-down bar used to choose a shape to draw, or use in order to create a focal point to aggregate data. This tool is useful for those that need to examine a very specific area. Note, however, that any action performed in the Draw function is a graphic and does not save to the viewer. As you can see, the first shape option on the drop-down list is a point. The point is used to create a graphic point on the map. This point will have XY coordinates assigned to it, based on an identified location. This tool is applied by selecting the point icon off the drop-down menu and then clicking on a specific part of the map. Once this is done, you will see a green spot on the map, which can then be named, saved, deleted, and zoomed to. The next option available on the drop-down Draw menu is the Polyline. This can be applied by clicking on a spot on the map, then moving to the next desired point and clicking again. Repeat until the user is ready to close the figure. Double-click to close the figure. The Freehand Polyline is the next menu item, which allows the user to draw an area focus freehand. To use the Freehand tool, click down and hold the cursor and move it to the desired area. When finished, the polyline will close and appear as it was drawn. The Extent option on the Draw drop-down menu is used to draw an exact rectangular area. Once the tool is selected, click on the area to view by holding down the mouse and dragging from one side to the other. The figure will appear as it is drawn. Click on the image to change the color of the figure. A white message box will pop up with options to zoom, edit, and delete. Under Edit, there is an option to change the symbol color, opacity, and similar choices, as well as an option to move the figure. The next two shapes are the Polygon Draw tool and the Freehand Polygon tool. These tools are applied by following similar steps. For the Polygon tool, click on the map and then click on each of the points of the figure to draw, and double-click to close the figure. This will create a shape with sharp corners and straight edges. The Freehand Polygon can be very useful if looking at an area with a less structured shape. It is applied by clicking on the map once and holding it down, and move the mouse to draw the desired shape. The last tool included under the Draw drop-down menu is the Typing tool, which is used to label any area on the map. This is done by clicking on the desired spot, entering the desired text, then saving it. Just below the shape selection icon is the Buffer icon. It is used to change the buffer information. Click the point created to increase the size of the point and add a buffer ring. This icon is used to look at a specific area in great detail. As a note of caution, this point is a graphic and does not save to the map viewer. Another tool available under Standard Tools is the Measure tool. Once the user selects the Measure tool, any of the graphics produced using the Draw tool can be measured. This is done by clicking the graphic. A white box will appear that includes the area and perimeter of the drawn graphic. Next to the Measure tool is the tool Identify Features icon. The feature will have either a green On or red Off button indicated in the box. The green On button must be activated for the tool to work. The user can then click a spot on the map, and the tool will bring up information about that specific point, such as the location, county, and related data. This tool may take time to query the information for the position clicked. Once the information is available, a box will appear with relevant information. If no information is available for the selection, then no information will be displayed. The Select by Location button is the next feature on the standard toolbar. Clicking this tool allows the user to select features based on their location relative to features in another layer. A buffer distance can be selected in miles or kilometers. The source layer and selectable layer information is based on what is present in the right-hand Layers menu. Under the Source Layer drop-down, the user can choose the spatial selection method from which the features will be selected. Once the information is populated, a Selection Results tab will pop up displaying information from the selection. The last tool available under Standard Tools is the Swipe Spotlight tool. This tool allows the user to hover the cursor over added layers without switching them off. Once the user selects the Swipe Spotlight tool, click Select Layer. This will be the layer that moves with the cursor. For viewing purposes, the user can choose to set the cursor at Swipe or Spotlight. Using Swipe, hold down the cursor and use it to pan across the screen to view the layers. The last portion of this section features some tools available for elevated users. SimSuite allows elevated users the opportunity to create, modify, and enhance individual viewers to meet the specific needs of a business line and/or mission. This section will go through all the available administrative tools and give a brief overview of how to use them. In order to access the admin tools, you will need to use the Contact Us field and send an elevated user request email to the SimSuite team. Once approved, the elevated user will receive a login ID and password. To access the SimSuite admin tool, the user must first log in to the application by clicking on the Login link at the top right of the viewer. The login option is available in an individual viewer as well as the main SimSuite webpage. To log in, enter the username and password that you were provided. Once logged in, the username will appear at the top right corner of the viewer. The Administrative Tools toolbar will now be available for use. Let's briefly review how to use each of these administrative tools. Once in the Administrative tab, there will be a navigation bar with Create a Viewer and Edit Current Viewer icons. In order to create a new viewer, select the Create a Viewer tab. Once activated, a command prompt will appear asking whether the user would like to create a new viewer or create a template from the current viewer. The first option will create a new viewer that will load completely empty. The user can then add all data layers and set the zoom extent. The second option allows a user to create a new viewer that will have the same layers and parameters loaded as the current viewer. Once created, the user can add or remove layers as needed. Creating a template from the current viewer does not lock the viewer in. Rather, it preloads layers and parameters to make the viewer creation quicker. Once created, the viewer can be customized to fit the needs of the user. The first step is to name the viewer, give it a subtitle and a brief summary. These are required fields, in addition to the viewer type. The viewer type should be chosen based on the use of the viewer. If the user is uncertain of what category to add a viewer to, use the Contact Us option to contact the SimSuite team. The second step of the creation process allows the user to select a viewer icon. This should be based on the type of viewer created. Most viewers will use the SimSuite viewer icon. The last step of the Create Viewer is to select a base map. This will become the default base map until the user changes it in the Edit Current Viewer section. After choosing a base map and clicking Finish, the user will be taken to the new viewer. The Edit Current Viewer tab allows the user to edit the viewer. This should only be done when the user is the responsible party for that particular viewer. During the Edit Current Viewer session, a user can make changes to the viewer's layers, zoom extent, activate apps, and then use the Save button to save the changes. When an admin user clicks Save in the Edit Current Viewer menu, any and all changes that have been made to the viewer will be saved. An administrative user can also delete a viewer they have created. This is done by going into the viewer you want to delete. Log in with your username and password. Select Edit Current Viewer under the Admin Tools, and then click the Delete button in the left-hand Edit Current Viewer panel. At the bottom of the Edit Current Viewer, there are apps. Apps may be loaded in the Apps toolbar and activated when the viewer loads. The shadow box behind an app name represents that it has been loaded to the App toolbar for the viewer. If there is a check mark in the box to the right of the name, then it has been activated to load by default with the viewer. The user should only activate apps that are specific to the viewer. There are two ways to make an app accessible. It can either be added to the app menu, or if a check is placed in the box on the Edit Current Viewer, then it will open immediately when a user opens the viewer. When finished inside the Edit Current Viewer tab, simply click Save if applicable, and then click the Close button. Administrative users also have the ability to manage the SimSuite layer library. This allows users to permanently add layers to the library. This tool also allows users to manage the layers that they have previously added under their administrative account. A user cannot make changes to layers that another user created. One way to access the layer library is to go to the SimSuite homepage, then click on Data. Clicking on View Details will add the layer to the library. To add a new layer to the library, click the Add New Layer to Library icon. If you are not logged in, the system will prompt you to do so. Once the icon is clicked, it will take you to a new page where you can add information to build the new layer. At this point, you can click on the layer and edit its parameters such as the URL, label, group, subgroup, and keywords. Each of the parameters are very important to fill out. The URL should already be the same as the one that was entered to create the service. The label should be changed to whatever name suits the data layer. The group should represent where the data should be stored. For example, if the layer is a natural hazard, then natural hazards would be the group. The subgroup can be specified and is recommended. Keywords for the layer should be chosen carefully and should be entered to best describe the layer. For example, a layer for the Louisville District flooding should have keywords like Louisville, LRL, and flood. Keywords should be very specific and, if necessary, descriptive words can be used. Questions regarding any of the admin tools should be directed to the system administrators, who can be contacted using the Contact Us link at the top right of any viewer. This concludes this module, which has taken a closer look at the Layers icon within the Layer tool and the Standard Tools bar in SimSuite. We have also looked at how to edit and create a viewer for advanced users.